Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Lindsay Johnson. I am a family nurse practitioner and the owner of Monarch Wellness in Mandeville, Louisiana. Our practice focuses on metabolic, hormone, and gut health all through a functional medicine lens. And tonight we are going to be talking about holistic gut restoration and optimization. So let's go ahead and get started. So, a few topics that we're going to cover are understanding gut dysfunction, supporting liver function, lymphatic flow, and elimination, strengthening stomach acid, enzymes, and bile, introducing prebiotics, probiotics, and the right fuel for healthy microbes, healing leaky gut and reducing inflammation, and making gut health part of your daily rhythm, not a restriction. So, our first topic is what's your gut trying to tell you? Understanding gut dysfunction. So, gut dysfunction is not always going to be those common symptoms that you think of, like cramping or diarrhea. A lot of people that experience GI imbalance never report those classic digestive symptoms. Those are going to be things like bloating, gas, indigestion, loose stools, and constipation. A lot of times, people are going to experience broader systemic symptoms. Things like skin issues like acne and rashes, fatigue and brain fog, mood concerns like anxiety, depression, and poor stress tolerance, hormonal imbalances, and even immune dysregulation, things like food sensitivities, seasonal allergies, and frequent illness. Your gut is intimately connected to multiple body symptoms. And so symptoms can often overlap and reinforce one another. So it's very difficult to identify where the problem starts if you're not looking at a person with a whole body lens. So there are layers of gut dysfunction. So the three most common patterns that are going to contribute to this dysfunction and why resolving them requires more than just managing digestive symptoms is what we're going to discuss. So the first is microbiome disruption, which is also called dysbiosis. So your gut microbiome has trillions of bacteria. These are going to help regulate your digestion, immune activity, inflammation, hormone metabolism, and even your brain function. But when that ecosystem is thrown off, and it can be from antibiotics, a highly processed diet, chronic stress, or infections, that's going to create that imbalance that we call dysbiosis. And that can lead to overgrowth of harmful organisms like yeast, H. pylori, which is linked to ulcers and gastritis, as well as parasites or opportunistic bacteria. So some common symptoms we see with dysbiosis is going to be bloating and gas, sugar cravings, bad breath, acne, brain fog and poor memory, recurrent yeast and urinary tract infections, feeling run down, mood swings and anxiety, and constipation or diarrhea that seem to come and go. The second is a motility dysfunction, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So, that normal motility is going to keep your food and bacteria moving through your digestive system at the right pace. But when that movement slows or stalls, and that can be caused by stress, low thyroid, a surgery, or even vagus nerve dysfunction, you're going to have bacteria build up in the wrong place, especially in the small intestine. And we call that small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. So, some common symptoms of SIBO is bloating that appears shortly after eating, frequent burping or gas, visible food in your stool, intolerance to high FODMAP foods, that's things like garlic, onions, and apples, irregular bowel movements alternating with constipation and diarrhea, nutrient deficiencies, fatigue that worsens after meals, poor appetite or nausea without explanation, and weight fluctuations without any major diet changes. And the third is a barrier breakdown, which we call leaky gut. So that intestinal lining is your first line of defense. It is designed to let nutrients in, and it's going to keep toxins, microbes, and undigested particles out. But when that barrier is compromised, and that's going to be caused by inflammation, medications, alcohol, or stress, it becomes leaky, and that's going to allow unwanted substances into your bloodstream. And that can trigger an immune response, chronic inflammation, and cause systemic symptoms. So, some common symptoms that may point to a leaky gut are new or worsening food sensitivities, skin conditions, fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, joint pain or stiffness, especially first thing in the morning, brain fog and low motivation, hormonal imbalances, autoimmune flares, frequent headaches, and anxiety. So I also want to mention the gut-liver axis and why detoxification does matter. So a lot of the symptoms we just explored may seem to start in the GI tract, but the root cause is going to extend beyond that. Your gut does not work alone. It is in constant communication with your liver, and that is a powerful detox organ, and it's going to play a central role in processing everything your body comes into contact with. So your food, toxins, hormones, meds, and even stress signals. And to truly heal your gut, you need to support the critical partnership with the liver as well. So, your liver is going to work like your body's internal filtration system. It's going to take potentially harmful substances and neutralize them, package them up, and send them out of the body. And that's going to be through stool, urine, and sweat. And it's going to do that in two phases. So, phase one detox is where the toxins are broken down into intermediate substances. And then in phase two detox, that's going to transform the substances into safe, water soluble compounds that can be eliminated. The detox pathways do rely heavily on nutrients, things like B vitamins, magnesium, glutathione, and amino acids. So, if you are nutrient depleted, inflamed, or under chronic stress, your liver may not be detoxifying efficiently. The gut also has a role in elimination. So once your liver processes the substances, many of them are going to be sent to the gut for final elimination, especially excess hormones, cholesterol, your bile acids, and your fat soluble toxins. So that is why having a healthy, regular bowel movement daily is such a key part of detox. But the problem is that if your gut lining is damaged, if your microbiome is imbalanced, or if you're not eliminating daily, the toxins can be reabsorbed into your bloodstream. And that is a process called enterohepatic recirculation. So, what that means is that instead of leaving your body, the toxins get recirculated. That's going to lead to fatigue, brain fog, hormone imbalance, skin flare ups, and inflammation that just won't resolve. So sometimes some signs that your gut liver axis may not be functioning well are going to be things like daily bloating, constipation, headaches, skin breakouts, sensitivity to alcohol, caffeine, or medications, worsening hormone symptoms, and feeling worse on a cleanse or supplement protocol. Our next topic is remove to renew, supporting liver function, lymphatic flow, and elimination. So the next few parts of this kind of takes you through what a gut healing protocol would look like. So the 5R protocol is something used in functional medicine to help with gut healing. So the first step is remove. So this phase is going to focus on supporting your liver, reducing your inflammatory load, and it temporarily eliminates foods and agents that are irritating your gut lining, feeding that dysbiosis and disrupting your detox pathways. So this phase is designed to activate both phase one and phase two liver detox. It's going to supply the nutrients your liver needs to safely eliminate toxins. It's going to reduce toxic burden on your gut lining and support hormone and blood sugar balance. So with this, you're not forcing detox on yourself. You're giving your body raw materials and the space to do what it's already designed to do. So you're going to remove inflammatory and gut irritating foods. So the most common foods may not cause these dramatic symptoms on their own, but when you consume them regularly, they're going to create that low grade inflammatory state, and that's going to disrupt your digestion, immune function, and detox. So some foods to avoid are going to be refined sugars and starches, gluten, conventional dairy, alcohol, excessive caffeine, and saturated and trans fatty acids. Some other common hidden irritants to reduce or eliminate are things like emulsifiers and gums. So these are often added to improve the texture or shelf life of foods, but they can disrupt the gut lining and fuel some imbalance in sensitive individuals. So this is going to be found in non-dairy milks, protein bars, some plant-based yogurts, frozen desserts, and salad dressings. Industrial seed oils you want to try to reduce or eliminate as well. So these are highly refined oils that are rich in omega-6 fats, and those are going to promote inflammation when consumed in excess. And these are commonly found in store-bought salad dressings, baked goods, packaged snacks, restaurant and fast food items, and frozen meals. NSAIDs, things like ibuprofen, naproxen, and aspirin, with regular use of those that can weaken your gut lining and contribute to leaky gut, especially when you take them on an empty stomach or for chronic pain. So you can get some guidance from a healthcare provider with this, but some alternatives include magnesium, curcumin, and some other anti-inflammatory strategies. Artificial sweeteners are an issue as well. So things like Splenda and Equal are going to alter your gut microbiome, increase those sugar cravings, and can trigger bloating and digestive discomfort. This is found in diet and sugar-free sodas, flavored yogurt, sugar-free gum, protein powders, and low-calorie or keto-friendly snacks. So detox is going to affect the microbiome and the gut lining. That microbiome is made up of trillions of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microorganisms. And some are beneficial. They're going to help digest your food, produce vitamins, regulate your immune system, and maintain that gut lining. But others are opportunistic or pathogenic, and they're going to thrive in conditions of inflammation, stress, and poor diet. So, when you remove processed sugars, refined carbs, alcohol, and inflammatory foods, you're cutting off the fuel source for many of those less desirable microbes. And those are typically linked to things like bloating and gas, sugar cravings, skin breakouts, and brain fog. And as those microbes die off, they can release some byproducts, which are molecules that are going to temporarily increase inflammation and create those detox symptoms like fatigue, irritability, or digestive upset. And that's often referred to as a die-off reaction, but that is temporary. So when the gut is repeatedly exposed to irritants, whether that's processed food, alcohol, medications, or even chronic stress, your immune system in the gut lining is going to become overactive, and that results in that low-grade chronic inflammation. It disrupts communication between your gut and the immune system, impairs the absorption of nutrients, promotes leaky gut and food sensitivities, and increases your risk of systemic inflammation throughout the body. So, just by removing some dietary and environmental triggers, that gut lining is exposed to fewer inflammatory inputs. And the immune system in your GI tract is going to become less reactive. So, symptoms like bloating, skin irritation, and stool irregularity are often going to begin to lessen as a result. Your intestinal lining is made of a single layer of cells, and they're tightly joined to form a barrier. And that gut barrier has a protective mucus layer, and that helps keep bacteria, food antigens, and toxins from leaking into your bloodstream. So when you have chronic exposure to irritants and inflammation, that's going to damage that barrier, and that's going to lead to what we call leaky gut or increased intestinal permeability. So as detox progresses and those triggers are removed, you're going to see your mucosal production increase. Those tight junctions between the gut cells are going to begin to tighten. You're going to have less exposure to inflammatory endotoxins, and your cells are going to begin to regenerate more efficiently. So, in short, that gut lining will begin to repair. And once the liver begins mobilizing toxins through those detox pathways, the compounds do still need to be eliminated. So, if the gut is not functioning well, meaning you're not having regular, complete bowel movements, the toxins can be reabsorbed through the gut wall. Like I said earlier, that process is called enterohepatic recirculation, and it is one of the reasons people are going to feel worse on those poorly supported cleanses or detox that you do on your own. So, when you do a structured detox, you're working to ensure that bowel flow is supported to remove toxins, microbial overgrowth is minimized so toxins aren't reabsorbed, and stool frequency and consistency are going to improve for proper elimination of toxins. So, this is why even something as simple as drinking more water and eating more fiber can dramatically improve the way you feel. So, some practical strategies to support this phase. This is not successful just because you remove certain foods or take a supplement. It is going to be successful when you give your body the environment it needs to eliminate efficiently, regulate inflammation, and begin repair. So, you want to support that detox process on every level, not just nutritionally, but physically, emotionally, and neurologically. And the good news is that you don't need to overhaul your life. Small, consistent actions done well are going to be far more powerful than trying to do everything perfectly. So some things you can do is simplify your meals. Choose soft cooked foods like soups, stews, and gently sautéed greens that are easier on the gut lining. Focus on clean protein sources, organic chicken, wild caught fish. Cook with gut soothing herbs and spices. Build meals around non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats, and moderate amounts of fruit. And try batch cooking 2 to 3 meals to reheat throughout your week so that decision fatigue doesn't sabotage your progress. You also want to stay well hydrated. So aim for at least half of your body weight in ounces of filtered water per day. You can add a pinch of unrefined sea salt or trace mineral drops to support electrolyte balance. Beginning your day with warm water and lemon helps. and making sure you're carrying a water bottle with you and setting hydration reminders if needed. Prioritizing sleep is important as well because detox does happen at night. So, 8 to 9 hours of sleep is recommended during this phase. Make sure you're creating that winding down routine 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Avoid eating 2 to 3 hours before bed to allow your digestive system to fully rest. And if sleep is difficult, you can have supplements like magnesium glycinate or even some calming herbal teas to take. Movement is important, but it needs to be gentle during this phase. So, daily low impact movement, walking, yoga, and stretching, breaking up sedentary periods with short walks is helpful as well. But it's important that if you do feel just super low energy, listening to your body is best. Sometimes the best movement is simply just resting. You also want to support your nervous system. So build in 5 to 10 minutes per day of nervous system regulation, things like guided meditation, journaling, grounding exercises. You can create small moments during your day, a cup of tea or coffee in silence, 2 minutes of stillness after a meal, listening to calming music while you're commuting, and then considering audiobooks and music over news and screens during this phase to reduce that mental overstimulation. You also want to make sure you're supporting healthy bowel movements. So, increasing your fiber, including healthy fats. Consider adding magnesium citrate or oxide if your stools are infrequent or hard, and prioritizing hydration and movement. And of course, give yourself grace. This is going to be a gentle reset. It's not a test of willpower. You want to focus on progress, not perfection, and be curious about how your body feels when you remove certain foods and how it changes with time. And you can celebrate those small wins, mental clarity, less bloating, better sleep. Those are signs of real progress. It is not uncommon to feel a little worse before you feel better during this phase. So, the idea of detox symptoms is really overused, but the reality is that as your body begins to mobilize that stored toxins, shifting your microbiome and down regulating inflammation, it's going to take some time to find a new balance. And those shifts can come with temporary discomfort. It does not mean your detox is not working, it often means it is working. So, some common detox reactions are going to be mild headaches, fatigue, brain fog, skin breakouts, digestive changes, muscle aches, irritability, and cravings for sugar. So, if you have these symptoms, we want to make sure that you're staying on course. But some things you can do to support your body would be to hydrate aggressively, support elimination, making sure you're having one complete bowel movement daily, adding rest, not restriction, scaling back temporarily, use gentle movement, nourish with grounding foods, and avoid any extra stressors. Our next topic is replace what's been missing, strengthening stomach acid, enzymes, and bile. So, stomach acid has a bad reputation. We also call it hydrochloric acid or HCl, but it is actually one of the most essential substances for healthy digestion. It is produced by the parietal cells of the stomach, and it's going to play a critical role in unfolding proteins so they can be broken down by enzymes. It activates pepsin, which is the enzyme that breaks down protein digestion, kills pathogens in food. It triggers the release of bile and other pancreatic enzymes, and it facilitates the absorption of nutrients. So when your stomach acid is too low, we call that hypochlorhydria. And food is only going to be partially broken down with that. And that's going to lead to fermentation of carbs, incomplete protein digestion, bacterial overgrowth, and nutrient deficiencies. So some common causes of that low stomach acid are going to be chronic stress and aging, antacid use, H. pylori infection, low thyroid, zinc deficiency, and even long-term vegan and vegetarian diets. So, digestive enzymes are like the chemical scissors of our body. They're produced in the mouth, stomach, pancreas, and small intestine, and their job is to break macronutrients into their absorbable parts, and that's amylase, protease, and lipase. So, if enzyme production is impaired because of pancreatic insufficiency, inflammation, or a sluggish digestive cascade, you can have symptoms like fullness even after eating just a few bites, fatigue after meals, gas and bloating, undigested food in your stool, and malabsorption of nutrients. So, you want to support enzyme activity through supplementation and eating hygiene so that your body can access the nutrition locked inside your food, especially when we're trying to heal from gut dysfunction. Also, want to mention bile in the gallbladder. So, bile is that thick yellow-green fluid produced by the liver and it's stored in the gallbladder. And it's released into the small intestine when there's fat present in a meal. And bile is going to have two important jobs. It's going to emulsify fat so they can be digested and absorbed, and it's going to bind and carry out toxins, hormones, and cholesterol through the stool. So, some common bile flow disruptors are going to be things like low fat diets, a lack of bitter foods, estrogen dominance or hormonal birth control use, gallbladder removal, and chronic liver congestion. So, when bile is stagnant, thick, or poorly produced, or the gallbladder has been removed, a lot of people will have these symptoms. They'll have nausea or discomfort after fatty meals, floating or greasy stools, vitamin D deficiency, hormonal symptoms, and feelings of sluggishness, toxicity, or dull skin. And so if you don't have a gallbladder, it's not an issue, but you do need to make some tweaks. So you want to eat smaller, balanced meals. Those large, heavy meals are going to overwhelm your system because you don't have the ability to release a bolus of bile. So smaller, more frequent meals that include modest amounts of fat spread throughout the day are best. And include those healthy fats. Don't avoid them. Your body still needs that to absorb nutrients and support your hormones. So that's going to be easily digestible fats like avocado, olive oil, and some wild caught fish. You want to avoid fried foods, trans fats, and ultra processed oils because those are going to be hard to break down and increase your inflammation. You can also support bile flow without a gallbladder by having bitter greens in your diet, beets, lemon juice, ginger, turmeric. And sometimes you can have targeted supplements if advised by your provider. So things like ox bile, digestive enzymes, and fat-soluble vitamin support can be helpful long term. Our next topic is re-inoculate to reinvigorate, introducing prebiotics, probiotics, and the right fuel for healthy microbes. So, your microbiome is more than just a collection of bugs in your gut. It's dynamic, intelligent, adaptable. It plays an essential role in immunity, inflammation, hormone regulation, metabolism, mental health, and even gene expression. But that ecosystem can be damaged by things like antibiotic use, processed foods, low fiber diet, chronic stress, chemical exposures, gut infections, and overuse of alcohol, artificial sweeteners, or sanitizing products. And so when that microbiome is out of balance, whether from one of those causes, it's going to contribute to bloating, constipation, food sensitivities, fatigue, hormonal issues, frequent infections, skin issues, and mood swings. So by contrast, a balanced, diverse microbiome, which is what we want you to have, is going to support digestive health, immune regulation, hormone metabolism, mental clarity and mood, metabolic function, and skin, joint, and cardiovascular health. So a disrupted microbiome doesn't just affect your gut, it's going to affect your whole life. So when we're talking about reseeding the gut during this program and gut healing process, what this means is that it essentially has three core components. So the first, you want to create the right environment. Removing those inflammatory triggers, supporting detox, and rebuilding your digestive capacity is going to create that stable foundation for those beneficial microbes to thrive. You can introduce or encourage the right microbes. So this is where targeted probiotics, fermented foods, spore-based strains are going to come into play. But reseeding doesn't always mean adding bacteria. We could just be feeding or repopulating what's already there. So for many people, the right support can help dormant or underpopulated microbes return to those functional levels. Things like bifidobacteria, butyrate, and protective strains like lactobacillus. Your strategy for reseeding is going to reflect your unique symptoms and stage of healing. It is not a one-size-fits-all protocol. So probiotics are only part of the story. What truly is going to build a diverse microbiome is your daily diet. You want an intake of plant fiber, resistant starch, and polyphenols. So you want to make sure you're increasing your fiber diversity, trying to get 30 plus different plant foods per week, rotating in some prebiotic foods, and including colorful antioxidant-rich plants. And that's how you shift from a depleted or reactive microbiome to a resilient, adaptable one. This is going to protect you, regulate your system, and help you feel grounded in your body again. So prebiotics are those non-digestible fibers, and they're going to feed your beneficial bacteria. We can get those from onions, garlic, apples, green bananas, and they're going to help increase levels of short chain fatty acids, and those help nourish your gut lining and regulate inflammation. But you do want to start slow with these, especially if you're prone to bloating or if you have a history of SIBO. Probiotics are going to be the live bacteria that are going to repopulate and balance your existing microbiome. Not all strains are the same. There are different species that offer unique benefits. And this is used for rebalancing your gut after antibiotics, managing inflammation, and restoring diversity. And then postbiotics are metabolites and byproducts that are created when your microbes ferment those prebiotics and fiber. They're going to include compounds like butyrate, acetate, and propionate, and these are critical for gut lining repair, immune regulation, and brain gut signaling. And you don't supplement these directly, you're going to create them by feeding your microbes the right foods. So, probiotics, again, are healthy live organisms that live in your gut. You can also consume them in fermented foods, and they further populate a healthy gut microbiome. So, this is things like yogurt, kombucha, miso, and sourdough bread. And then, prebiotics is a unique type of fiber that's going to help healthy gut flora flourish. And these are the favorite foods of beneficial gut bacteria: walnuts, raw asparagus, flaxseed, oats, rice, and potatoes. Our next topic is repairing the gut lining, healing leaky gut, and reducing inflammation. So, some key nutrients that can repair and reinforce the barrier can be found in both food and supplements, and they specifically support the healing of that intestinal lining and mucosal barrier. So, L-glutamine is the most abundant amino acid in your body, and it acts as the primary fuel source for your intestinal cells. It helps tighten those junctions between gut cells, and it also supports muscle mass and blood sugar regulation. This can especially be helpful in cases of patients with chronic stress, overtraining, or post-antibiotic recovery. Zinc carnosine is a compound that supports gut tissue repair, and it helps prevent oxidative damage to your gut lining and promotes healthy mucus production. It's shown to improve symptoms of gastritis, reflux, and ulcers in some people. Aloe vera can help soothe inflammation, support immune modulation, and it's best used in decolorized purified form, and it pairs well with glutamine and zinc as well. Collagen and gelatin are going to provide connective tissue repair. They help reinforce the gut's extracellular matrix and support skin, joints, and connective tissue integrity. And we can get this from bone broth, powdered collagen, or gelatin-containing foods. And omega-3 fatty acids are those potent anti-inflammatory compounds that are going to help resolve that gut inflammation. It supports that tight junction function and reduces intestinal permeability. And you can find that with wild-caught fish, high-quality fish oil, and chia. Some key nutrients that are going to repair and reinforce the gut barrier as well on this page are your polyphenols. These are plant-derived compounds. They have powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. They support mucosal healing, modulate immune reactivity, and stabilize mast cells. They're going to be found in those deeply pigmented foods, things like berries, green tea, turmeric, and dark chocolate. And some bonus nutrients, N-acetylglucosamine, quercetin, vitamin A and D, and marshmallow root can be helpful as well. Our next topic is reinforce and rebalance, making gut health part of your daily rhythm, not a restriction. So some lifestyle foundations can help keep your gut resilient. So the first is stress regulation. And this matters because chronic stress is going to directly increase your intestinal permeability. It decreases your digestive enzyme and stomach acid production. It can alter your microbiome and impair liver detox. You cannot out-supplement a stressed nervous system. So some things you can do daily is try to start your day in that parasympathetic mode. Morning light outside, avoiding screens and emails for the first 20 to 30 minutes of your day, creating that stress signal interruption during the day, 5-minute outdoor walk, box breathing, and protect your evening wind down. Avoid mentally activating tasks 1 to 2 hours before bed. Replace phone scrolling with a book or hot bath, and journaling or simply doing less are helpful as well. You also want to make sure that you're focusing on your sleep. So your gut lining is going to repair itself while you sleep. Your liver is going to detoxify hormones and metabolic waste, and your microbiome is going to run its cleaning cycle, and your immune system also recalibrates. So you want to get that consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. And during this time, you want to aim for 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep. And set up that sleep environment. Blackout curtains, blue light blocking glasses are helpful. And try not to eat 2 to 3 hours before bed because digestion can disrupt those sleep cycles. And support natural melatonin production. Dim the lights in the evening, use some warm tone lighting from salt lamps or candles. Stop caffeine by 1 to 2 p.m. and alcohol entirely if possible. You also want to make sure that you're focusing on your digestive hygiene. So, even if you have a well healed gut, if you're eating in a stressed or rushed state, that can re trigger some symptoms for you. We want your nervous system in that parasympathetic state. We call it rest and digest. That's going to help with stomach acid, bile, and enzymes to work properly. So, try to do a pre meal ritual that can take less than 2 minutes, sitting down and just taking some deep breaths, saying a prayer, or setting an intention for your meal. Smelling your food before eating, making sure you're chewing properly, and putting your fork down between bites. Some bonus habits are to avoid multitasking while eating, eating in a calm setting, preferably seated. Stop eating when you're 80% full, and even a gentle walk for 10 minutes after eating can help. You also want to make sure that you're supporting your liver. So, your liver is constantly filtering toxins, metabolizing hormones, and producing bile to support digestion. And it thrives when it's consistently supported, not just that seasonal cleanse. So, making sure you're staying hydrated, eating bitter foods daily, cruciferous veggies will help with estrogen detox. Movement is going to promote circulation and lymph flow, and you can detox some things from your environment. Switch to those non-toxic personal care and cleaning products, minimize plastic use, and avoid synthetic fragrance. So when you are at the point where you're going to be reintroducing some foods, it's important to test foods methodically, not fearfully. This is going to be a tool for curiosity. It's not punishment. So we usually do this in 4 steps. We're going to choose one food at a time. We're going to eat a small amount on day one and then a full serving on day two. And then you're going to wait 2 to 3 days before introducing another food. And that's where you're observing any patterns that are going on with your body. Are you seeing anything going on with your digestion, your skin, mood, sleep, or energy? And if symptoms arise, it doesn't mean that the food is inherently bad, but it could mean that your gut lining still just needs some more time to heal. You may tolerate that food just in smaller portions, or the food just may need to stay off the table for now, but not forever. Some people will have that post detox rebound where you feel worse before you stabilize. So it's not uncommon to feel significantly better during that detox or elimination phase. And then you notice those symptoms creeping back when you return to that more varied diet. So it can be confusing. People think I'm doing so well. Why did I suddenly get reactive again? But your gut lining may still be fragile. Your immune system may be recalibrating, and your body is now communicating more clearly. And that is a great thing. So, what causes this is reintroducing foods too quickly or too aggressively, underlying permeability or inflammation that hasn't fully healed, gut bacteria that are beginning to shift again, the return of some real life stressors, and toxin mobilization without a strong enough elimination. So, if these symptoms show up, you can return to that detox baseline in those meals for a few days, just going back to those foods that made you feel best. You can layer in some extra mucosal repair support like the L-glutamine, omega-3s, and collagen, and slow down those food reintroductions. Also, recommit to some nervous system regulation. Focus on your bowel regularity and zoom out because this is just part of your learning, of your healing curve. Your trajectory is still going forward, it's just not linear. So if you complete a gut reset and you feel transformed, a lot of times you don't need any further workup. Some will feel better, but not complete. So if you're still struggling with symptoms like persistent bloating, constipation, diarrhea, skin rashes, fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, then it may be time for some additional testing. Functional stool testing, SIBO breath test, hormone, cortisol mapping, some mold or heavy metal screening, and some targeted supplement support as well. And you also want to make sure that if you do have a good reaction to this, you can create your own rhythms of renewal and consider building in a mini reset a few times a year. And that's just including 7 to 10 days of simplified anti-inflammatory meals where you reduce sugar, alcohol, processed food, and any gut irritants, and bring back that foundational gut lining support. You can reflect on what's working, what's shifting, and what needs more attention. You don't need to do that full detox every time. Sometimes that few focused days of rhythm is going to bring your system back to center. So if you're ready to learn more about gut health, we do have an offer for anyone watching this webinar for $100 off an initial consult with us with code webinar. That is a 90-minute visit with me as well as advanced labs. So we are looking at inflammatory markers, looking at your metabolism, your hormones, making sure everything looks okay before putting you into any sort of program. So if you guys have any questions, my contact information is listed here. Best way to get in touch with me is through email. Make sure you're giving us a follow on Instagram and Facebook. Tonight is our last webinar of the September series. So if you joined us just tonight or through other ones, thank you so much. I do have everything uploaded and we'll have this one as well uploaded to our YouTube channel, which I'll post at our link in bio on our social media as well. So if you ever want to come back to it, it will be there for you. You guys have a great night.